Hello everyone, this is gonna be a lap analysis video for one of our channel members, Jeremy. He sent me this lap, his lap F3 at Mugello, and he wants to know how he can improve it more because he has a really tough time in the races and in qualifying as well. So let's see where we can find some lap time, let's see where he can improve more and more. So going right now into turn 1. Let's see his approach. So right from the beginning, you can see the understeer. So this is the main issue that's happening in this corner. We're understeering way too much because at this point, we get to the apex, we have this amount of steering angle, and on the exit, whenever we put the power down, we want to unwind the steering wheel. We don't want to ask for more rotation as we put the power down. But what happens here, if we pay attention to the telemetry, is that whenever we're putting the power down, he asks for more steering angle. And this is a very, very good indication of understeering. And this understeering will make two things happening. Firstly, you will overheat the front tires, which in the next corner you will see it by having less grip. So your car will have less performance in the next corner if you overheat the tires in the previous corner. That's first thing that's happening. The second thing is that you will scrap speed just because the front tires are sliding right now, because he's asking for more rotation, but the car is not going to give it more rotation right now. It's already understeering. It was already understeering from few meters before, and now it's just making worse and worse. So in this case, what you want to imagine is that at the point of maximum rotation, it will be the apexes in some cases, it won't be the apexes in other cases. You want to have the maximum amount of rotation from the steering wheel. You want to have the most amount of steering angle there, and then on the exit, you just want to unwind the steering wheel to relax your hands. But what's happening here is the opposite. So we force more and more steering angle even though the car is understeering. The fix for this, so if this mistake is happening, the fix is to let go on the throttle. So just wait a bit more up until the car will regain his grip on the front tires, and then you push the throttle. So this throttle application was way too early because of this mistake. So if you're gonna do the mistake, instead of asking for more steering angle, just do the correction from your pedals. Now, if we go few frames behind in the approach, the reason why we had such a hard time in this corner and it was very difficult for Jeremy to take it properly was because his turning point is way too early, as you can see here. This is a very early turning point, and because of that, we carry less speed into the corner, we're gonna have a wider exit. So instead of turning it this early, what I would recommend, instead of turning it from here, just go forward a bit more. You like go 5-10 meters forward and then you start turning in. In terms of the braking itself and the downshifts, we took a lot of time to do the downshifts. We want to do the downshifts more quickly so we can get a bit of the rotation initially. To get the rotation early on, and then it's gonna be a lot easier to take the corner itself. This will be like the main things that you can focus, Jeremy, on this part. Now for this corner right here, again, it's a very early turn in initially. You have the tendency to turn very early, but also you're not using all the track. So we have this part of the track here, which we don't use. And in this type of corners, because it's like a chicane, it's a left and then a right one, you have to use this part of the track because the more you cut in these chicanes, the more easier it's gonna be for you. So first things first, get the car nice and early on this curb. You can use this curb for turning in and do a small brake, because we won't brake very heavily on this corner. So it's not like in turn 1 where we carry a lot of speed and we want to brake quite heavily. Here is just braking to make the car rotate. So use all the track on entry, turn a bit later. And what's happening here, because you braked early, right now you're having such a low speed that to you it feels like you have to do something with the car, and what you're doing is you put the power down. This is a very early point to go back on throttle, and because you go on throttle very early, then the car is getting pushed more to the right here. And this will happen here as well. Very early on throttle, and then the car is understeering. So the reason why this understeering happens and the reason why you were very early on throttle, it's because you braked way too early and you turn in way too early. You want to carry more speed into the corner and you want to turn later so that it will be more difficult for you to put the power down that early, and then the car will rotate more because you want to rotate the car with the brakes and you want to trail brake a bit more into the corner. That's gonna give you the rotation that you need for these types of corners. Let's see the next one as well, because it's very similar, this one. Here you're using all the tracks, so this is a good thing, but again you're turning in way too early. We're understeering at this part, and notice that we already back on throttle while understeering, and this puts us offline. So now the next corner is compromised because of the line. We want to be just a slightly bit more on the left. And what happened is also that the tire temps are higher now. So this corner is gonna be real difficult. Let's see. You see, so we missed it completely. What we can do? First of all, the error starts from here. Carry a bit more speed, apex a bit later, don't be this early on throttle. So you will carry the speed into this corner. And how can you carry the speed into the corner? Well, instead of braking this hard initially, you can brake later, softer, but trailing for more. So you won't kill the momentum of the car going into the corner. You will just brake a bit softer, you will trail brake a bit longer, and then you will be on throttle just a few meters forward. And this is gonna give you the proper line, so you won't miss this corner. And also, in this corner, you're doing a small lift, but immediately you're going back on throttle. And then you realize it, you drop the throttle at this point, you have this drop, because you saw that you were no way making this corner, and then you're going back. So these corrections under throttle are gonna make you very difficult to keep the tire temperatures in check, because you will always be under oversteering, but in more case understeering. This is the main issue for you. You're using way too much the front tires. Let's see the next corner. Kind of early turn in, but also you drop the throttle way too early. And you see that you have these moments in between with the steering wheel going left and right, so you have some hesitation in this corner because you turn in way too early, that you don't really see the corner and you have to adjust mid-corner. What I would suggest, again, turn a bit later. And whenever you put the power down, avoid having this much steering angle. Like, this is severely understeering. Imagine yourself that whenever you're putting the power down, you shouldn't have more than 45 degrees of steering angle. In most cases, that's gonna be a good rule, depending on the corner, but if it's not a hairpin, you can for sure apply this to almost 90% of the corners and will still work to avoid this understeering. Now we have to drop the throttle again. We could have used a bit more track, so this drop of throttle here could have been a bit upper, so you dropped a bit too much, because we have this space that we don't use. Going into this corner, very early turn in, you will probably have to lift going here, or you will understeer, one of the two. But if you will understeer, it's better to do the lift, keep the tire temps in check, than to force the car. So let's see what's gonna happen, because ideally you want to apex a bit later. So early apexes means wide exit. Because this was an early apex, you will probably go wider to the gravel trap right now. And you see this happened, but you had to use a lot of steering angle like this. And that steering angle scrubbed speed. So this one right here. This is too much. You just want to be a lot more smoother with your steering wheel. In general, this is something that's holding you back a lot right now. Too much, scrubbed a lot of speed, the tires are cooked now. This amount of steering angle was way too quickly applied. You want to be a bit more smoother. So imagine yourself that you're driving on a highway. At high speeds, whenever you're keeping the throttle flat on a highway, you just do few corrections on the steering wheel. You want to change lanes, okay, few degrees, like this. You don't go like this instantly, because the fronts are just gonna instantly slide, so you will lose some tire performance by doing this. Also kind of an early apex as well. You see you're struggling to keep the car on track at this point. Now going into this part of the track, very early braking point, and also in this case, this was one of the few cases in which you turned way too late. You want to apex around these curbings. So you see, because you're following the racing line, you're not getting the proper line into the corner, because the proper line is cutting a lot this curb to the point that you will almost get the yellow sausage curb. Same here, cut a bit more than this. And don't, in this corner specifically for Mugello, specifically for F3, your whole goal in this corner is to not drop the throttle to 0 here. So whenever I'm driving, I'm always reminding myself, okay, don't drop the throttle to 0, because it's very tempting to do this 100% to 0 throttle lift. It's going to give you a lot of grip to the fronts, but you will lose a lot of speed. And you can see that you had this part of the track that you could have used. Now going into the last two corners, very early braking point and very hard initially. You see the car momentum is killed right here, and you just have to wait, and this corner feels like forever. Instead, what I would suggest to do here is to brake later and brake softer, so that you will carry the momentum a lot deeper into the corner. So the car will feel sketchy at all times right now, so you will fight the car a bit because you have a lot more speed, you will trail brake a lot longer, and then when you go on power, you stay on power, and it's almost a vertical line going up. Instead, what you see here is that you're going on power, you're maintaining, keeping 20, 30, 40, 50, and now you're back to 100. What I want to see in this part of the corner is exactly opposite shapes. So trailing longer, and then when you go back on throttle, it's like slam it to 100. This is the faster way to take the corner. It's more like a V-shaped line into the corner. And this will be the same thing for the last corner as well. It will be the exact same thing, because those two corners are very similar. So you want to brake late and don't brake hard. Braking point was not bad here, but we dropped the brakes too quickly. You see here you drop to 0. So right now the car will start understeering. You will probably go wide because you drop the brakes to 0 here. You see? And now you reapply them. But the moment that you drop it to 0, that's the moment when you lose the rotation, you lose the grip. And whenever you put the brakes back on, it's never going to be the same. Also, the downshifts were way too slow. You want to downshift quicker here. Give the downshifts, like almost spam them, do something like this. So you will downshift as quickly as you can, especially with this car. It's super important to downshift quickly. Now again we're understeering, and because we took a longer line, we're covering more distance, but this is gonna be an easy fix for you for these two corners. Just try to trail brake longer and be more confident on throttle. The moment that you go on throttle, you stay on throttle. I hope this tips helps. I think you will smash your best lap times if you just focus on avoiding understeer and turn a bit later in the first part of the track, and in the second part of the track to trail brake a lot more and put the power more confidently, build it up sooner to 100%, and that will make it. Now, if you want to see more of these videos, more of this lap analysis, I'm doing 1 or 2 lap analyses per week for channel members. So if you want me to analyze your lap like this, consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.